Hello, welcome to Skill Check Positive Gaming Podcast from YMCA Exeter. My name is Andy.
And my name is Becky.
And I'm not really sure how to start this.
You're not really sure?
Because,
we did have an unexpected week off last week.
There was that. Good to see you kind of live and kicking.
Yeah. So the reason that we had an unexpected week off last week was because I was really poorly.
And it happens.
Yeah.
But we also need to comment, I think, because if you're watching on YouTube, we probably look like we've had a bit of a glow up. You know, it's like hopefully this looks better than we did last week.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago,
definitely better than when we first kind of moved. And
we are gradually getting back to the point of like being in a normal environment again.
To
move everything around a bit.
But still, this is like when you compare when we first started recording to like a little cupboard, and it was all a bit echoey and really difficult to kind of know where to. I think I had to stand and stuff.
We're getting more professional. Look at us. We've got 2 microphones now as well. Look, 2 microphones. We have 1 microphone each.
Which admittedly does bring its own kind of technicalities. But yes, we are a little bit grown, I think.
Yeah. It's good down here. If you ever want to come and have a look, get in touch with Andy, and Andy will show you around because it's going to be a nice little studio space. It's kind of in the throes.
Maybe give it a bit of time. Because right now it is literally, we've literally just got this bit set up this morning.
Yeah.
We have plans.
Give it a few more.
Keep an eye on the main YMCA socials. I am kind of doing what's the word when you've got a piece of video that shows progress over time.
Okay.
I'm doing that. Whatever that is, I'm doing that.
Nice.
Becky, help me out. What's coming up?
So we are talking gaming preservation.
Which is actually well in the news right now.
Yeah. It's good. Well, we can talk about all those other games that we used to play and where they're going.
It was something that we planned, but it's actually something in the news anyway.
We also have Andy's Game of the Week, which is a classic game, and I'm really excited about it because I'm going
to be getting you to do lots of talking.
It's actually a game that I have played.
Yes.
Wow, shock horror.
And played lots.
Yeah, played lots, and I have played a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But first we have
gaming news. Right, gaming news. What have you got for us this week?
Our first piece of gaming news this week is more than £3 million of government funding has been awarded to emerging video game developers and startup studios to help them scale their businesses and create new British gaming hits. 22 rising star video game studios have received the award for the UK Games Fund. Grants of up to £150,000 will help 22 potential games companies hire more staff, secure publishing deals, and unlock more private investment. The money has been awarded to companies like Glitches, a BAFTA-nominated company that has used video games to help teach children about money and help scientists fight dementia. Some of the best video games in the world have been made in the UK, including Tomb Raider, Grand Theft Auto, Little Big Planet, and Lego Star Wars. Good job boost for the UK gaming industry.
It's good news.
Yeah.
When you consider that, job-wise, gaming has had a nightmare time post-COVID.
Yeah.
It's not been nice. This just goes to show that there's still kind of confidence in gaming as an industry. From a kind of government view as well.
We talked about a bit about like how when people are losing their jobs, they're also creating nice little small gaming companies. This is just a little bit of a boost to them. And like I think it like sounded like the awards tend to go towards gaming companies that are using it for like teaching young children, helping to do things. Kind of scientific research, that kind of stuff. I think it's really interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of comes from that. It's weird how invention happens. So quite often they'll try and like aim for something, and they'll be like, "Oh, we're trying to find a game or something that does this," and actually it might be a game that then takes off and is like a global.
Yeah.
So I think like don't underestimate the power of like like finding a game that's trying to do something specific.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Some of the best games probably come from that sort of environment of like, we were trying to get a game that like was trying to do this. So yeah. Really
So
good.
the look on my face, which you would have seen on YouTube and you would have seen Becky, it was me trying to process. There's an example of it in my tongue.
Yeah, just can't remember what it was. Yeah,
Nah, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like invention, that's kind of how invention happens, is they try and aim for something. I mean, it's surprisingly, it's how a lot of the medical industry works. Is they're trying to find a drug that does something, and then they actually realise that it fixes something else as well.
Yeah, so. And you know, let's take one of the most boring educational subjects known to mankind. Let's say budgeting.
Yeah.
Actually, a game around budgeting, a little bit of a, like a better word, a little bit of a budget behind it, could work quite well.
Yeah.
I mean, let's call it a game where it's about creating a theme park.
Yeah.
And you have to work out what money goes where. Oh, let's call it theme park.
or Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah.
Or just games about running something.
Yeah.
And actually, you're learning how to manage a budget.
Potentially a game that we're going to talk about later.
Maybe.
Which we'll keep quiet about.
Maybe.
Which we'll probably bring this back up again later.
You've seen my notes.
Yeah,
I like that.
Our next piece of game, we'll move swiftly on. Our next piece of gaming news is critics
44 best.
Fans seem to agree that the new Fallout adaptation doesn't miss. The series is based on a hugely popular role-playing game set in an alternative retro future where technology and culture locked into a 50s aesthetic. The game takes place over a series of different times after the world blew itself up in the Great War of 2077. The adaptation is said to hit the right tone between being a bleak post-apocalyptic landscape and being funny to mean that watchers are entertained. The adaptation was created by the director of the Westworld series. The series itself can be seen as both a sequel and a prequel to the game. The protagonist is a naive and sheltered Lucy McLean, leaves the vault to look for her father, and like an atomic age Dorothy meets friends and foes along the way. The series is available on Amazon Prime. Have you watched it yet?
I have watched part 1 so far. It's probably not the most kid-friendly, so therefore we've got to be careful.
Be careful when you watch it.
Exactly when we watch it, which is the reason why we've not watched too much of it.
I got the feeling it was quite violent in places.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know...
Well, yes is a short answer.
Okay.
There are far more violent TV shows and movies out there.
I mean, Westworld probably...
Based on part 1.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, there are some people that live in some vaults.
Yeah. So the general concept of Fallout is the world ends. And that's it. Really, and to kind of keep humanity going, because the government or someone knew that this was happening. I presume the government were involved. People were selected to escape from the apocalypse and move into vaults. What happens next kind of depends on the game you're playing, and each individual vault has its own story. But yeah. That is basically the general premise of Fallout as a video game series, TV series.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have seen some funny clips. I haven't watched. I'm not really into violent TV shows. Don't necessarily like anything that revolves around.
I'm having flashbacks to
Last of Us. The Last of Us, yeah. I mean, a lot of our conversations when it comes to TV shows, sorry about that, revolve around... like me going, I don't want to see that. I've seen more clips of The Last of Us now, and I'm borderline going to be watching at some point. I'm
quietly proud of you. Last of Us is not that scary.
Yeah, you keep saying that to me, and I keep going, but there's like really zombie. I've watched clips of the game. This is now my life now. I've watched more clips of the game now than I have, because the plot line, I was like reading about the plot line. I was like, oh, this sounds really fun. The plot line's really
honestly,
not fun, but interesting, yeah.
In regards to Last of Us,
Yeah.
and I know we're on a tangent.
Yep.
In regards to Last of Us, I personally reckon the scariest episode
Yeah.
what featured humans
Okay.
as the main antagonist.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes humans are more scary than monsters.
That was the one that stayed with me longer than any monster.
Okay.
Well,
I'm not big on like.
no, there is one monster moment where it's just awesome.
Okay.
It's more Incredible
I will
Hulk
get around to watching it
thing
eventually.
than anything else.
Okay.
It's not a lot of jump scares.
Yeah, I'm not big on jump scares.
Maybe there's one jump scare in it.
Yeah.
We're really off.
Yeah, we're really upset. But going back to Fallout,
Yeah.
I've seen clips. It looks funny in places.
It is quite funny.
Yeah.
Which
is not. Last of Us is not funny, whereas this is
no,
like
not
more
really.
funny.
But Ella Purnell
Yeah.
is very funny. Is very
Yeah.
She's I think it's the first thing I've seen her in,
Well,
and she should be in like X-Men or whatever it is, coming up.
no, I think I was trying to.
This is I'm talking years away.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that she's got, if she wanted to move into kind of action type roles, she's got it, and she'll be very funny doing it as well.
Great. Our final piece, that's moving on. Our final piece of gaming news is the BAFTA Gaming Awards were held last week in London. Baldur's Gate 3 was the big winner of the evening, picking up 5 awards, including the coveted Best Game title. Role-playing game based on Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons also scooped prizes for music and narrative, with an acting award for Andrew Winnicott as Devil Raphael. Super Mario Bros. Wonder won 2 awards, but Jedi Survivor missed out despite having 6 nominations. Meanwhile, photography-based puzzler Viewfinder was the best British game. The Legend of Zelda picked up an award, as did Spider-Man 2. The awards come after a year peppered with blockbuster games, leading some to call it a vintage year in gaming.
Yeah. It probably was. Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 only got one award,
all that, no notes.
Talked about. But I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 has won a lot of gaming awards in the last year.
Baldur's Gate 3 is very good.
Yeah.
It's very much for kind of a niche audience, I reckon, and that you kind of need to know what it is you're going into before you start to play. And there's definitely an age limit to that game. But it is designed, it's not designed for kids.
Yeah.
It's not a kid-friendly game in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
If kids are playing this game, they're probably very much into D&D.
Yeah.
And even then, they probably much prefer to actually play D&D person, I guess. It is a very good game.
It's just won all of the awards in the last. Every time we talk about award seasons this year, we've talked about Baldur's Gate 3. And the music.
And there are
well.
reasons.
I was watching a video the other day. This is it's not a tangent, but I was watching this guy.
Welcome to the Tangent Podcast.
There was a guy that uses whips to play music. It's very fun, and you can watch him on YouTube.
Okay.
And then he sings as well. And
Okay.
he works in one of the theme parks in the US. And people go up. And you can watch him and request music.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody requested the music from Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
Which is why I was thinking about it.
I was like, where's this going?
But the music is that good that he's people are requesting it. Things and saying it's really good. I've not listened to the music. I've heard that it's a good soundtrack. It's quite epic from what I hear.
I've got to admit, I've not paid too much attention to the music itself when I played it. But I am very aware it's very much a whole package experience. And now I stop and think about it. The music must be part of that.
Yeah. I think we kind of neglect a bit the music in games sometimes.
Oh, totally, 100%. You know,
it's amazing, really, composition wise.
well, it's the same with TV shows.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
If the music isn't there,
Yeah.
people notice,
When are you
and
gonna
people
know how
are
to be
fans of
scared?
particular kind of TV theme artists,
Yeah.
Soundtrack artists.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't listened to the music, like we haven't, we could go away and like do a little review of the music of certain games and like talk. We'll have it like we'll do a middle bit where we just talk about the music on gaming. Just see. I mean,
There is a podcast, basically all about that. I think it's called The Sound of Gaming from BBC Radio.
Mm.
Yeah, check it out. It literally plays tracks from games.
Yeah.
Talks to the
Composer.
Thank
That's the word you're
you.
looking
That's
for.
the word I've struggled with. They talk to composers. There's kind of pieces about why and the kind of making of particular tracks.
Yeah.
Really interesting stuff.
Well, if you're interested, go and look it up. And that's the end of gaming news.
Right. So, video game preservation.
We're talking about video game preservation.
Now,
Yep.
what I find particularly interesting
Yeah.
is that two things.
Yep.
One, we plan.
We did plan this. Yeah.
We plan this.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a plan.
We did have a plan.
Yeah. And we mostly follow it.
We do. We
And-
plan out a whole year of podcasts.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much. And this is your idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the credit for this.
Yeah, it
I'm
was,
going
yeah.
to give you the credit for the timing of this as well.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think we just put it in a box and we said, we're going to do that at that point. But yeah.
Yeah. But it was you that kind of put it in the box for this week. And the reason why I'm giving you so much credit is that actually video game preservation's been in the news a fair bit over the last week or two-ish.
Yeah.
In that, for a few reasons. One, Xbox have got a what they call game preservation team,
Interesting.
which is basically there to, I guess, to do what it says on the tin.
Preserve video
To
games.
basically look into how they can keep
Yeah.
that going.
Yeah.
Nintendo have closed down their 3DS and Wii U servers.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you've not been able to download new games like, for a year now.
Yeah.
But basically, this means if you want to do kind of online stuff, that makes it even harder now. And thirdly, Apple have very recently, I think just this week, have been like, hey, everyone, if you've got an emulator app,
Yeah.
you can now host it on our app store.
Yeah.
An emulator app is basically the software to basically take a file which lets you play an old video game on your iPhone.
Yeah.
Legally a little bit of a minefield. I'm going to put that
Yeah.
disclaimer out there before anyone comes at me.
Mm-hmm.
My point is oddly kind of present
Yeah.
thing that's been talked about.
Yep.
But what is video game preservation?
Yes. What is it?
I like how gamehistory.org have put it.
Okay.
Imagine if the only way to watch Titanic was to find a used VHS tape and maintain your own vintage equipment so that you could still watch it. And what if no library, not even the Library of Congress, could do any better? They could keep and digitize that VHS of Titanic, but you'd have to go all the way there to watch it. Sounds crazy, but that's the reality that we live in with video games. A $180 billion industry while the games and the history disappear.
Yeah.
And I would argue that's the reason why people, buy old consoles and stuff. So, because...
Yeah, it's becoming more popular these days, isn't it?
Yeah!
You have like an old console that you keep in the house somewhere and have the cartridges and stuff for it as well.
Yeah, and you kind of go out and you find the cartridges, the CDs to play on it.
It's almost like buying a record player.
That is it. Precisely it.
Yeah.
It is very much, you kind of get this whole retro thing kind of coming back. Yeah. And I wonder if there's something to having a physical copy in your hands.
I also think like the cost of like things like the N64 have gone up in recent years because people are now going, I want to be nostalgic. I want to relive my childhood playing these games.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and buy an N64 because that's the only way to play these games that I played when I was.
Yeah, totally. And let's not underplay the power of nostalgia.
Yeah.
At all. There's lots of kind of positive emotion kind of wrapped up in that. For a lot of people, that's a feel of safety. That's a feel of kind of comfort.
Yeah.
And that where this is coming from. I mean, personally, I've got an Xbox 360 at home.
Yeah.
Burnout free on it. Yeah. I've got a copy of Angry Birds as well. Kind of a complete Angry Birds kind of saga.
Oh, what an age.
Which is only for like a couple of quid. I'm like,
yeah.
Thank you very much.
My mum dug my Game Boy out of the cupboard the other week.
My
Game Boy Color.
Games you got?
The one that I played the most was Road to El Dorado, which is like a running game based on the cartoon film Road to El Dorado.
No.
Yeah. Which I loved the cartoon. And then a game I played it constantly. And then I picked it up the other week and went, oh, I remember playing this game, and I love that feeling of like, oh yeah, it just brings my childhood back to me, and like, I love it. Yeah, it was so good. There was a few Mario games and stuff on there as well, but I think I played the Road to El Dorado the most, which seems really weird. And also things like I have. So when I was in youth club, we used to play on the N64, used to play GoldenEye, things like that. So you can get them on the Switch now, but it is just not the same. Like,
doesn't feel the same, does it?
No, and I think like it doesn't work
and the
as well
controls on the Switch.
So yeah, it's just not. I just don't like it at all. And so there's a bit of me in my back of my head going, to relive the nostalgic days of this, can I find somewhere an N64 off eBay so that I can play GoldenEye with the original like N64 controllers and games?
You know, you've asked me to do that thing with the Xbox.
Yeah.
That thing with Game Pass on the Xbox talked about. You know that GoldenEye is on Game Pass.
Oh, really?
Right?
Is it? Is the controls
I would just like to apologise to Becky's boss for what could end up happening.
I'm going to end up playing it.
Because the controls are indeed better on the Xbox.
Better.
Yeah.
Oh, put it on there.
I might be able to find a way.
We bought the youth club Xbox so that Andy can update it, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because it generally sits somewhere that there isn't a connection or anything like that. And
or they have got the Wi-Fi password.
Oh, okay.
Tangent. We're on tangents today.
Welcome to the Tangent Podcast.
Going back to gaming history.
Yes, I know I've made that joke twice.
Going back to gaming history, I also, like in reliving my childhood, found a website where you can play all the games from the BBC computer.
No way.
Is like an 80s like computer.
I mean, that is like the original computer for people of our kind of generation, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're like really pixely games, but they like hold so much nostalgic value. And I think like with this kind of thing as well, like they could all have stood to be lost. Like you just wouldn't have access. Like they used to come on these huge floppy disks.
Yeah.
Like that you could shove into a...
It's like 5.25 inch.
Or, these are the days, tape.
No way. Yes. Actually, Amstrad CPC 44628.
Yeah.
Like that.
So all these games that like were originally created for computers and things were like completely would have been lost. And so to save them, they've archived them all onto a big website, which you can access, and you can go and play these games. And it's called bbcmicro.co.uk, and all of these games are like on there.
Fantastic.
And like you can relive your childhood, but also for prosperity, it means that they'll always be in existence, which is really cool. I think it's really cool.
That is a win, and yeah, that's good on the people behind BBC Micro for letting that happen.
Yeah, but there's so many other games that I think about when I think about my childhood that like have just gone now, like completely disappeared. Like we used to play a game called James Pond, which is like a little
I remember Robocod.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, same thing, same sort of thing.
Yeah, wow, it was a sequel.
It was, yeah, and that is now I have not been able to find it since then. I mean, you can play like different versions of it, but like the original James Pond game, you can't find anywhere. And there's a few games like that I just don't think are in existence anymore, which we used to play on an Acorn computer.
Cool.
Yeah, but all of that stuff's just been lost because I think that's just that kind of what people are going on now is that like these games that people have spent hours and decades creating, if you don't find some way to archive them or store them somewhere, they're gonna be lost. Like people aren't gonna be able to play them anymore. Like, oh, he's found a version of it called James Pond Codename Robocod.
It's not a sequel.
I don't know. I'd have to
because Robocod was a sequel.
Yeah, I think I'd have to like look it up and work out which one it was I actually played. But
that still doesn't kind of excuse your point, which is the initial James Pond
Underwater Agent. It was, I think.
That is still.
It's gone.
That's still that. Yeah. So I might have been able to find the sequel.
Yeah.
On the Switch store. It's not the one that you are looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can play it anymore.
So
yeah. Anyway.
Yes. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess when we talk about video game preservation, we're kind of talking about those memories, those kind of things that still brought people together. Kind of, it's all video games, isn't it? But it's still all the same sort of positive stuff that we talk about video games that we talk about now. It's stuff that kind of brings people together. It's kind of works of art. It's for stories. It's a happy, joyous memories, which we shouldn't down on because just because they're old. But actually, if there's a way to kind of relive that and have access to that, that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah. It also is a history of something that is such a massive industry now. Like it's a story. Like it's not, video games the way they are now wasn't a small process.
No.
This is, the first, I think, was it the 70s or something? The first Pong that's the first official game, isn't it?
Oh, Pong. Sorry, I thought you said Pond. I'm like,
no, as in Pong, as in the game with the two little paddles.
Something like that, yeah.
And this is a long time, these things now. That's, 50 years ago. And that's this is, and it's stuff that's going to get forgotten if it doesn't get saved.
This almost sounds like a pilot for a Retrocast podcast.
We could talk a lot about retro gaming.
Potentially coming soon, but we'll see what happens.
We're just reminiscing about our childhood and playing which games we ever played in our childhood.
But we should probably move on from talking about games that we played in our childhoods to games that we probably still played in our childhood. Or these variations of. Anyway. I mean, Sims 4. Yeah. What is there to say about Sims 4? You know Sims.
I love Sims. I grew up playing Sims. I played the original Sims.
What is Sims?
So,
sum it up for us.
Sims is what you call a life emulator?
Emulator? Life simulator.
Simulator. Sims. So basically what it is, you play a character, you buy a house, you build the house. You can either buy a pre-made house or you can buy a new house or whatever. And you build the house and then you play life. So they get a job, they go to work, they get money, you get to spend the money on furniture, you get to buy a new house and grow and
do cooking,
learn skills.
If a Sim is bored, you watch TV.
Yeah, and you have to and they have little bars that tell you what they need. So they might need a shower, or they might need to go to the loo, or something like that. And you have to send them to the toilet and tell them. It's one of my favorite games of all
Ever?
time. I love it so much. My sister and I'm going to tell you the story. It's not really a tangent. My sister and I, the original
Welcome to the
game
Tangent
came out
Podcast.
in the mid-90s, I think it was, and my sister and I saved our pocket money
Mm.
and bought it as a joint. My sister and I do not share a lot of things, but we bought it as a joint game, the original Sims, and ever since then we have been addicted. So I own copies of every single version of the Sims thing. Apart, don't think we own the original Sims, but I still have all of the Sims 2 because I think that was the peak for me. Sims 2 was like the peak.
I think it was for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Sims 2 with all the expansion packs. Like, so you get expansion packs once you get into it. So you can then extend the world. You get like Sims University, Sims Pets, Sims Go on Holiday. It's great. I love it so much. But you want to talk about a specific.
Well, I think Sims 4.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything you've just said.
Yeah.
I think it's literally the same.
Yeah.
But probably a bit more, I guess.
I think the graphics are better these days.
Obviously the graphics are better.
Stuck in the swimming pool because there are no steps. Because now they can get out
Can you
without
not?
steps now. You can't drown. So that was
You
one of
just
the
can't have fun things anymore.
It used to be like you used to build one room and just keep the sim in one room with a toilet and a sink in it, and then just see how long it took them to die.
You can still do that, right?
Yeah, you can still do that, I think.
So this is a life simulator.
Yeah.
So whilst it sounds dark, what we're talking about, if you're to do that in real life, that is exactly what would happen.
Yeah, you can get male, female Sims, and then the Sims can have babies.
Yeah.
Baby Sims, and then you can grow.
And you have a whole romance element.
Yeah.
And that romance element does go hand in hand with actually looking after that other person, building up that relationship.
Yeah.
It's not just click a button and job done. You've actually got to build up that relationship with that person.
I've played The Sims in a long time, and it's really making me want to play The Sims right now.
I've got to admit, just listening to you talk there, I was like, actually, those kind of life bars of what it is that your sim needs. So if the sim's hungry, or energy bars or things like that. So if the energy bar is particularly low, then, sleep or need to eat or something like that. I found that really helpful probably about 20 years ago, actually, to describe my kind of personal social battery.
Yeah.
That I would refer to Sims when I was like, actually, my social bar is kind of in the red zone, people. I need to be kind of left alone.
So when your social bar goes down, then you need to go meet people and like chat with people and put your social bar back up again.
Or my case, if it was too far down, I just need to go away and
sit in a zone in a little room.
But the reason why this came up is I kind of introduced it to the 11-year-old at home.
Yep.
She's quite imaginative, and I was like, actually, this could be quite a good game for her to play.
Yeah.
And she's taken to it very well. It's free on pretty much all the platforms.
You can just get it free now.
I mean, if you can get it on your platform, it's free. Electronic Arts have obviously kind of lent well into the additional bundles they can get.
Yeah, so you can get the core game free, even I think on PC these days.
Yeah.
But you still have to then pay if you want add-ons like expansion packs or whatever, but also then they'll give you like bundles of clothing or furniture or stuff like that as well, which you then pay for.
Yeah, and they're not shy about kind of advertising the additional bundles, things like that on the ports, on the kind of intro screen and things like that. But you just ignore that.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, you just ignore it. If you can't afford it, again, just ignore it and just go into the game.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have like pop-up adverts or anything. It's incredibly well done.
Yeah.
Not intrusive.
I love it. It's just one of my favourite games of all time.
Interesting note that we've found about my daughter playing this game is that accidentally had conversations about budgeting
Interesting.
with her.
I guess
Nothing in
life,
depth,
right?
Yeah, because if you were to decorate your house, you're to put stuff in, you get charged simoleons.
Yes, you do.
For that
New
equipment,
wallpaper, new flooring, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
that all costs money.
Yeah,
and she's talking about running out of money. We're like, all right.
Do you know what I'm thinking? Cheat codes.
Wait, what?
Cheat codes.
Oh, cheat codes. Well, obviously.
She doesn't know about those yet.
I mean, we're talking maybe week 2.
Okay. In a classic world of Sims, it's probably the one game where cheat codes are quite commonly used across the board. I feel like, you get a...
It was a classic.
It's one of those things where it's probably one of the only games where cheating is pretty standard, right?
Yeah. Well, GTA would like to say hello at that point.
Okay. I also remember cheating a lot in Theme Hospital, but we won't go into that either. Cheat codes!
So what we've ascertained is that Sims is one of the games where cheating is very acceptable, and it's also apparently perfectly acceptable in all other games as well.
But it's not acceptable in all other games. It's acceptable in 3, I think we've named there. I don't think it's acceptable. I think a lot of people will be like, you can't cheat if you're playing a narrative-led game.
The Sims available on almost all platforms, not available on Switch.
Yeah.
But available on disappointing, but pretty much available everywhere else for free. You can get it on mobile devices. Different game, but it's The Sims. So that's Sims 4, pretty much available everywhere.
Yes, and on that note...
over time.
Yeah, well over time. We will leave you. If you do follow us, please follow us on the social medias at YMCA Exeter and at YMCA Exeter Games. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe and say hello in the comments. And we will see you next week.
Take care.